Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles. Welcome to Zach Wilson's last day. At least as a peer of Trevor Lawrence's, or as a peer of any starting NFL quarterback. Zach. One day it will make no sense that Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson were even in the same breath or same area as they were this offseason. Now, most people had way more hope for Trevor Lawrence than Zach Wilson, but it will be even more bizarre. Like Sam Darnold and Josh Allen, like how were they ever together? The Jets dropped to 7-8 with this loss to the Jaguars on Amazon Prime. This was the Jets' fourth loss, fifth in 6 weeks. So they've really kind of plummeted out of the AFC wildcard race. And it sucks because I think with Mike White, they might have, I know they lost some of the games with him, but I think they would have put in some real dent and zazz into this AFC playoff field, because the skill positions still look good. The defense looks great. The baby Jets were a great story. It's just Zach Wilson was that bad. And we're looking to Chris Streveler, and suddenly Streveler's looking good by comparison. The game started okay. Quinnen Williams, that's a bright spot for the Jets. He's worthy of an all-pro selection this year in the interior defensive line. He started the game with that sack of Trevor Lawrence, a fumble. You're thinking, oh, that's what the Jets need. And then they, kicked a field goal after going -3 yards. And really never had any offense after that, at least with Zach Wilson. Because they had one big drive. They took out Zach Wilson in the third quarter, late in the third quarter, brought in Chris Streveler. At that point, the Jets had 78 total yards. And Chris Streveler, who is fourth string behind Mike White, behind Zach Wilson, behind Joe Flacco from South Dakota, he led an 83-yard drive. So 78 total yards with Zach Wilson. Streveler leads an 83-yard drive. And you're just thinking, oh, even this guy can get it going. Zach Wilson, you cannot play quarterback. Ultimately, they turned that 83-yard drive over on downs inside the 10. But that's because they were already losing. And I feel bad for Zach Wilson, that he got picked so high. He should have never been picked that high. Go to my second episode of Mukilteo Football Show ever, when I said it makes absolutely no sense to pick Zach Wilson so high. He had one good year, and people just didn't understand how non-football that 2020 college football season was. That's the only good year Zach Wilson has ever had, was the COVID-ravaged season at BYU. How any scout could take anything seriously with all the practices that are canceled, entire position groups out, it makes no sense. This was Trubisky all over again. The same lesson that draft people, they have no idea what they're talking about. They just have no idea. And I still contend, and I contended this at the time, everybody had Zach Wilson as their number 2 quarterback on the board. All the draft people, all the draft nicks, all the media personalities. Not because they actually ranked Zach Wilson ahead of Justin Fields, who had just thrown 6 touchdowns in the playoff title game. It didn't take a genius to know Justin Fields is better than Zach Wilson. They did it because they knew the Jets were going to pick Zach Wilson. So they knew from Jet sources that they were taking. So they say my number 2 prospect is Zach Wilson. And soon you will see me be validated by the actual draft. And you'll see how smart I am. That's what happened. All right. Sorry, Zach Wilson. We'll probably never talk about you on the podcast again. Trevor Lawrence, however, has got a career in front of him. He had a good game. It didn't show up on paper. 229 yards, no touchdowns through the air, 51 rushing yards. This does nothing for my Dancing Rabies Babies fantasy football team. But it was in contrast to Zach Wilson, and this is kind of Trevor Lawrence and Clemson, using his legs. This is fun. The Jaguars have a shot here. The capybara chase, chasing down the Titans continues as the Titans have lost Ryan Tannehill, likely out for the season. The Jaguars win. They're 7-8. We are now crashing towards a Week 18 Titans-Jaguars playoff game because there's really no combination of wins or losses that can stop that now. Now that the Jaguars won this game, the Titans could win or lose or split their little Texas two-step they got going here. Houston this week, Dallas next week. It doesn't matter. It's on for Week 18, Jaguars-Titans. Jaguars, they do have a couple of injuries up front. Cam Robinson out for the year. They lost somebody else today, a guard. So I'm a little worried about that. I don't think Jacksonville's going to make any noise in the AFC playoffs, but this is a fun story. I really want them to win the AFC South. Okay, I got a little bit of time in my intro, I believe. Yes, I do. Let me get one thing I just want to complain about real quick. This Meta virtual reality commercial that we see every Christmas, every commercial break. We've seen it since, the beginning of the year. It's the guy who's on the bed who's saying, I want to be a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Not later, now. I want to feel the thrill as 80,000 fans as I carry them to victory. Nothing major. Am I supposed to be impressed by this guy's ambition to play a video game? Nothing major. Like, you want to be the quarterback for Dallas Cowboys, but not really. You want to play the video game. Okay. Like, I don't want to sound like an old man on a hill, but how is this a good thing to be bragging about this? Like, when we were kids, we weren't like, we're going to save the world from Krang and Shredder. We're going to go through the sewers, going to go all over the place, and we're going to beat turtles, and we're going to save the world. Nothing major. No, we didn't say that. It was a video game. It wasn't us doing it. Okay. Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. This show is football everything. NFL history, legacy, ups and downs of a season. Follow us at MUK_football on Twitter or YouTube. Subscribe, share, review on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, wherever you get your podcasts. We've got shows Thursday for Thursday Night Football. We'll be back for a Saturday show, Sunday Night Football. We got Monday after Monday Night Football. We're always doing the 3 shows, so getting pumped. And tomorrow, hopefully, weather permitting, we will have a special episode with my brother and my dad just about the Immaculate Reception. It'll be the 50th anniversary of that play. Steelers over Raiders. Franco Harris, who passed away this week. Really looking forward to talking about that and a play that, I know it's called the Immaculate Reception, but it honestly has some touches of fate, of religion in it. It's a pretty big deal. So we'll talk about that. So right now, we're going to preview Week 16 and take 4 games, pick the lines, and talk about it. So let's get to the first game. The Seattle Seahawks travel to Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, 2 of the loudest fan bases historically. The Chiefs will get to do the yelling this week, yelling at Geno Smith. The Seahawks are in a free fall, so if they have any hope for the playoffs, they've got to beat the Pat Mahomes Chiefs. We've lost 4 out of 5, and I say we because I'm a Seahawks fan. Sliding out of contention now. Tyler Lockett is hurt. That could be why the line is so high. Chiefs are favored by 10. Pat Mahomes for MVP, putting that out there. Last week was enough for me. Hurts had his little statistical run there, but Pat Mahomes is running one of the most efficient offenses of all time. It's amazing what he has done. And yeah, they stumbled versus the Texans last week and had to beat the Texans in overtime. Certainly wasn't Mahomes' fault. the Chiefs had twice as many yards as the Texans. So this is not really, Geno Smith has definitely cooled off, which I think is actually good news that Geno Smith didn't fall off, instead cooled off. I think this is good news for the Seahawks and for Geno Smith's career going forward. But it's definitely not what it was earlier in the year. And that's not going to be enough to beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. However, the line is so high, 10. And I tell you, I don't bet Pete Carroll to lose by 10 points to anybody. Pete Carroll would lose by 6 points to the 85 Chicago Bears. It just would happen somehow in an ugly fashion. I will take the Hawks to cover the 10 in Kansas City. All right, next game. The Detroit Lions travel to Carolina to face the Panthers. Lions are 7-7. They're the darlings of the NFL. We are all rooting for them so hard to make the NFC playoffs. Panthers are 5-9. They also have playoff implications, and they technically have the playoffs and an NFC South title in their own hands if they beat the Lions, beat the Bucks, and then win their last game. So 5-9, but playoff relevant. That's NFC South football, baby. But the headline to me is the Lions here. I love what they're doing. Dan Campbell, they're playing manly man's football, not Boomer Esiason, Rex Ryan, take the points, punt the ball for field position. That is not manly man's football. I want to change this. It's not manly. It's not tough to punt. Go for it. The Lions have nothing to lose. Their fourth down aggression is part of why they're winning. They would not be in this playoff situation, this 7-7, without their fourth down aggression. And that foot on the gas mentality they have too. The offense keeps humming. They're up by 10. Who cares? Have you seen the comebacks lately? It's just a winning mentality that they have on game day, and I support it, and I love the Lions. That 4th and inches touchdown last week to Brock Wright. I mean, not to slam on the 85 Bears again. Okay, let's just say 2000 Ravens. The 2000 Ravens wouldn't have been able to stop that play. It was such a great play design. Gosh, there's something cool happening. Only like what? Was it 6-7 weeks ago? I was describing how Dan Campbell needs to win at least 3 or 4 games to keep his job. Now here we're talking playoffs. So the Panthers, Sam Darnold, of course, is a quarterback. You know, it's not a comeback, but it's also not tragic. He's got 3 touchdowns, no interceptions in 3 games. And it's really the defense for the Panthers. Lions offense versus Panthers defense. It's a sneaky great matchup to watch on our televisions this Christmas Eve. Let's see. Lions are favored by 2.5. Lions favored on the road by 2.5. And I have to go with them. We need the Lions in the playoffs. We got to get the Commanders out of there. We should try to get the Giants out as well, but I don't think the Lions can do that for both. But like for wild card, we got to start thinking about our wild card weekend. Lions versus Vikings, NFC wild card. Woo-hoo-hoo! Lions versus 49ers, NFC wild card. Like, yes, let's get that. All right, next game. The Philadelphia Eagles travel to Dallas, take on the Cowboys. So this isn't quite the playoff, atmosphere Christmas Eve classic that we were hoping because the Cowboys lost to the Jaguars in week 15, and now Jalen Hurts is out with a shoulder. So this isn't going to be like an Aikman versus Cunningham, sort of Romo versus Michael Vick type thing. No, it's not. But I love Eagles Cowboys big games. Just the colors, the uniforms just live up really well. But yeah, Jalen Hurts is hurt. That sucks for the Eagles. How serious is it? Is going to be the big story over the next 3 weeks. Everyone says it's fine on the team, but maybe it is, but they wouldn't tell us. For some reason, they have to lie. They could watch a player die in the locker room, and then they'd come out there and be like, yeah, well, we'll have to take it day to day. I don't know why they have to lie, but they do. So there is some in the dark corners of Eagles fans' minds, there's some evaluation of could Gardner Minshew get some of that Nick Foles magic, because this is a similar situation to the 2017 Eagles, which was a great team with the number 1 seed locked up. They lost their quarterback, Carson Wentz, who appeared to have taken the next step, but the roster was so good around him, it was sort of hard to extrapolate him out of there. I don't know. Maybe Minshew could pull a Foles and the Eagles are just going to win Super Bowls this way. I don't know. And what many forget about that 2017 year is how bad Nick Foles looked in the regular season until he caught fire in the playoffs. So it'll be Minshew mania again. He's got a weak arm. He can't do much, but he's got the heartstrings. He's powered by his college coach, Washington Cougar former coach Mike Leach, passed away. He was doing a eulogy just this week for him. So there's a nice story there. As for the Cowboys, I'm worried about the Cowboys. Now, Kirk and I picked the Cowboys to lose to the Buccaneers in the wild card weekend. So that's still on trajectory. The defensive injuries for the Cowboys are piling up just all year long. Every time you watch a Cowboys game, the tax keeps tolling. They still got Micah Parsons and Travion Diggs, so it's not as big of a story, but they're missing like 2 of their 3 starting corners, some key pass rushers. Van Der Esch is hurt now. This is probably why the Eagles are still favored, even with Minshew, favored by 4.5. And this game's going to be so vanilla probably too, because pretty much the Eagles and Cowboys are locked into their seeds. The 1 seed and the 5 seed. I should have looked up and maybe I will if they lose this game, how possible it is for the Cowboys to slide down to the 6 or 7 seed. It might not be possible because they already got the 10-win plateau, but we shall see. All right, last game. The Green Bay Packers travel down to face the Miami Dolphins. Christmas in South Beach. This is the only Christmas Day game that actually matters. Rams, Broncos, that's a nothing. Bucks, Cardinals, Kyler's out. The whole Brady Buccaneer thing is just getting sad. So really, I don't know. Football on Christmas, I'm not a huge fan. I remember there's like a Texans game or something that was pretty good on Christmas, but you don't really it's not part of the DNA of Christmas for me. So, this is a selfish take, but Thanksgiving is structured around football in my mind. Christmas, there's a lot of other stuff going on, and these games suck. Even this game, this is the early game, so I don't know if that's good or bad. Green Bay at Miami. The Packers are still technically in the playoff hunt, and they got the run game going. Wide receivers looking fine. Can't blame them right now, though, Rodgers has done enough passive-aggressive press to ensure that the receivers get blamed for this lost season in the end. But Green Bay was supposed to have a really good defense. Remember that? This would be a good week to show up because the Dolphins are they're molting. They're trying to become that next phase of the year. Mike McDaniel's trying to bring this Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They're all kind of banged up, but he's trying to bring that offense to the next step, something that Sean McVay always struggled with. And in Buffalo, they showed something. The Dolphins showed something, and it was largely the run game. Raheem Mostert, just the kind of 49ers classic. If you are going to sell out to stop our weapons, we are going to attack the smaller guys on the field with our run game until you stop it. This aggressive, just designed runs and stuff that the 49ers do so well. Well, Mike McDaniel, of course, is a part of that 49ers thing. So this could be what he's doing. But I think the Packers are going to win this game. I've always been shaky on the Dolphins, and especially Tua. And there's some good vibes with the Packers right now. After the bye week in week 14, the win in week 15, they still have Aaron Rodgers. I predict this is the random week where Aaron Rodgers looks good. And Tua can't lift. I've said, I was going to say famously said, no one. I famously said on my Saturday podcast, Tua wasn't one of the 10 notable players in that Bills-Dolphins game. Like, it was like so many great plays and great players. Tua was an afterthought. And no, he shouldn't be in the Pro Bowl. To a Pro Bowl snub? Give me a break. Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow are the AFC choices for sure. For absolute sure. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up. We'll be back for some immaculate reception talk tomorrow. And then remember, all the games are on Christmas Eve, mostly. So we'll be back after that. My name is Miles. A good night.